good. They're paranoid, lunatic, pure evil. But the globalists that are the more organized evil, they know what they're doing. And so they need this political diversion to prop up the dollar, a political diversion internationally. It's more of these proxy wars going on. And now they're going to send an aircraft carrier in to get right up against disputed areas, just begging North Korea to do something. And they may pull another Gulf of Tonkin, 1964 style, and claim North Korea attacked. And go ahead and start a whole new war. We lost 56,000 Americans there in just a year and a half, almost as much as we lost in a decade plus in Vietnam, from 64 to 75 or so. So U.S. sends carrier to Yellow Sea for exercises near Korea. The Pentagon has dispatched an aircraft carrier strike group led by the USS George Washington to the Yellow Sea for naval exercises with South Korea, following the exchange of artillery fire between the North and South. The exercise are likely to anger, which in the past pressed Washington not to send its aircraft carriers to the sea. I mean, this could cause World War III, and I'm not the only one saying it. China may spurn Obama appeal to rein in North Korea after attack on the South. Continuing here, analysis, North Korea crisis, latest blow to Obama's nuclear agenda. Here's the London Telegraph. North Korea attacks. Are we skipping towards a nuclear apocalypse? Pentagon, again, to send aircraft carrier strike group to Yellow Sea. That's a Kurt Nemo story at Infowars.com that gives you some background. I mean, this is big news here. This is important. Meanwhile, our borders are wide open. We've got tens of thousands of hired minimum wage goons fondling our wives and children and your husbands. Foreign banks have stolen trillions. Our entire economy is imploding into controlled, designed depression. The average yuppie's watching football and sucking their thumb. We'll be right back.
I read the news today. Oh,
we really appreciate Drudge Report, DrudgeReport.com. He first linked to some of our stories 6-7 years ago, but now it's a weekly occurrence, now a daily occurrence, because Drudge realizes important news. Ron Paul, crotch groped by TSA, calls for boycott of airlines. And it's got the video and audio link to Ron Paul with my quote. So to be clear, sir, you have had the enhanced pat-down. They have touched your crotch. Yes, absolutely, as I said, and it's disgusting. Let me go over some of the TSA news. That report, if you want to read it, still is on the Drudge Report. It's just moved down the page some. It's also up at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. We have a great article up at Infowars.com from Paul Craig Roberts, TSA Gestapo Empire, that breaks down their total takeover of society, because they're announcing they want them in taxis, they want them in bus stations, train stations, malls. This is the takeover of society. People are really starting to get it. Continuing, this is one of the biggest issues going on right now. Here's just the latest. LA Times reports on a Zogby poll, 61% oppose new airport security measures. They're worried about radiation. They point out our borders are open. They point out that there's 1 billion targets. I mean, if terrorists could just drive out in the middle of the countryside on a Sunday morning, walk into some Baptist church with 300 people in it and blow the place up, or shoot people. But the globalists really like to stage bombings because that creates fear. It's something different. And they've been able to do all this in airplanes because people always had common law for their cars, their homes, their persons. They would never put up with that on the street. So they started in the airport. Oh, because that's something special. That's flying. On the eve of one of the nation's busiest travel days, this was last night, a poll has found that 61% of likely voters oppose the newly enhanced security measures at the country's airports. And that's the Zogby poll of 2,032 likely voters. 48% said they would seek alternatives to flying because of new measures. Now, I've seen other polls, again, of 96% out of 60-plus thousand respondents. I've talked about listening to talk radio to get a gauge of the public. I listen to probably 2.5 hours of local radio this morning. I listened mainly to one station, listened to some to another. This was all they were talking about. I tuned into San Antonio radio, driving into the office, heard the same thing. Every caller after caller after caller after, I mean, you know how mainline talk radio does. They'll just give each caller 30 seconds for a quick comment, hang up on them. Caller after caller after caller, and maybe every 10, 15, 20, you would hear somebody say they were for it. Meanwhile, NBC last night, Brian Williams says 98% of people in their poll agree with it. Folks, there's no way that's true. And that's why mainstream media has lost so much credibility. They are attempting to with a straight face, to tell you 98% of people agree with this. But all the scientific polls are above 60%. And again, they tried to intimidate you. They tried to imply you were going to help terrorists. They tried to yell opt out, and admittedly groping you, they told Atlantic Monthly, to make you go through the naked body scanners. They tried to lie and say that scientists said the radiation was safe, when the entire spectrum of scientists in government, at John Hopkins, Big Sis quoted John Hopkins 2 weeks ago as saying it was safe. And then the head of the radiation department, the radiology department, came out and said it's not true. I've written papers saying it's bad. He was already in the news saying it was bad, so she just came out and lied and said he endorsed it. Because she thinks you're not going to go look it up. Remember just 3 weeks ago when I was the big liar? 3.5 weeks ago when Michelle was a big liar in my office about him touching her crotch? Remember TSA putting out press releases saying we don't do that? And the news was like, well, we have all this video of you doing it. You did that to our reporters. Now you've got Wall Street Journal, New York Times, ABC News. There's hundreds of mainline reporters going, yeah, they made me take my fake breast out. I had breast cancer. Yeah, they touched my crotch. Hey, they stuck their hand in my pants. And the Republicans, you got to love it. I hear Rush Limbaugh people trying to say, Mr. President, get your hands off my bag. Off my tea bag. And I'm sorry to talk like that, but that's what the media is covering. That's what Limbaugh's saying, okay? I'm reporting on him. And look, this all started decades ago. This is not partisan. But yes, it's accelerating under Obama. They're a bunch of control freaks. But here's another poll. Majority oppose body scans. So we're going to get back into all this and hit all the facets. And when we start the next hour, we're going to take 30 minutes of your calls quickly with your comments on the economy, on North Korea, on the TSA. Coming up, Joel Skousen.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Austin, Texas, broadcasting worldwide. It's Alex Jones.
It's a reliable source of information.
50,000 unstoppable watts. Thank you so much for joining us. Joel Skousen, no stranger to this broadcast. WorldAffairsBrief.com is coming up in a moment. I don't normally have a guest on twice in the same week, but he's really been focusing on China, North Korea. That's what Lindsey Williams' source told him a few months ago was where he should be looking, that Iran was the distraction. And we're going to get his take on this huge escalation and the announcement by China and Russia that they are dumping the dollar. That is just huge. But before I go any further, the information and material covered on this syndicated radio broadcast, TV simulcast, the documentary films, the news websites, is the tip of the spear. We are reaching the most people. We are shattering the left-right paradigm, exposing these different globalist power blocks. We're having a huge effect, and people are ready to hear the truth now. We have the best activist, informed audience out there in the world. We are beginning to set the agenda. We together are beginning to put real issues out there in front of the people. And now is the time to redouble our efforts. We do this every holiday season in the last 7 years. This is our 7th year doing this. Coming up early next year, it'll be 7 years of PrisonPlanet.tv. We have added special interviews. We fly all over the country to PrisonPlanet.tv. 2 or 3 new ones going up a week. Dr. Blaylock is going up this week. A bunch of speeches I've given. Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, you name it. the simulcast of the show, the podcast in higher quality, commercial-free, my book, Paul Watson's book, expanded extras from all my films, other films that folks call and contact us and want us to post in high quality, like Camp FEMA, Don't Tread on Me, thousands and thousands and thousands of pieces of media. Every subject out there under the sun at prisonplanet.tv. And every Christmas, you can get 5 months free right now. It's actually 5.3 months is what it comes out to at prisonplanet.tv. Instead of paying for 12 months, you pay for 6.7 months. You get 5.3 months free, and you financially support this operation. So we can continue at the same level and expand. We couldn't do any of it without you. And here's the best part. Give yourself a membership. Create a passcode, username, takes about a minute to do, and then you can have 6 people logged in at the same time on the same username and passcode. So you can share it and give it to a few friends and family and say, here's your membership, here's your username, passcode, prisonplanet.tv. Give it to them in an email or in a card. And any subject they want to look at, any expert, it is a library. And they can download it, burn it to disk. We've got tools on the site, prisonplanet.tv, prisonplanet.tv. Put fuel in our InfoWar weapon system. I describe it like a fleet of bombers that you are fueling to go out there and expose the globalists and blow holes in their electronic Berlin Wall. So again, prisonplanet.tv, the perfect holiday gift. Also, we've got a bunch of specials. The Essential Alex Jones, my 5 newest and most powerful films, $24.95. That's less than $5 a piece, only until Christmas. Infowars.com. If you've already got Police Day 4, Rise of FEMA, Fall of the Republic, Obama deception, terror storm, things like that. Doesn't matter. Get it and give it to folks. 5 powerful films, Infowars.com or 888-253-3139, 888-253-3139. You can also download them all in super high quality at prisonplanet.tv or write to us at P.O. Box 19549, Austin, Texas 78760. Got a bunch of other specials, T-shirts, bumper stickers, pins with Infowars.com on them, pocket knives with Infowars.com on them. Super inexpensive. It's all about spreading the word. Infowars.com for the online video bookstore shopping cart or 888-253-3139. Now, we have a congressman coming up next hour who's angry about the TSA. Then we have Tarpley popping in later to give us his perspective on what's happening on the Korean Peninsula. But Joel Skousen is editor of World Affairs Brief, political scientist specializing in the philosophy of law and constitutional theory. He's also a designer of high-tech security residences and retreats for the elite and others. He has designed self-sufficient and high-security homes throughout North America and has consulted in Central America as well. He, of course, has the book Strategic Relocation, North American Guide to Safe Places. He's also a fighter pilot, a veteran, and a lot more. And his uncle was Cleon Skousen, who wrote the definitive works, even before we had the works of the insiders admitting and confirming what Cleon Skousen said, like the author of Tragedy and Hope, of course, Bill Clinton's mentor, Carol Quigley. WorldAffairsBrief.com. I wanted to get him on because there have been so many new developments. Just to recap for those that joined us, Washington Times, U.S. sends carrier group to Yellow Sea for exercises near Korea. They're reportedly going to go into areas that are disputed again. A major provocation. I'm no fan of the lunatic hermit hereditary dictatorship controlled by China of North Korea, but this is a provocation. China may spurn Obama appeal to rein in North Korea after attack on the South, started by the earlier South Korean provocation going into the waters. We also have the London Telegraph, North Korea attacks. Are we skipping towards a nuclear